back to my channel. I'm James, and this channel's for everyone worldwide that likes these great movies and great TV series. Today we've got a classic 1980s werewolf movie that I'm going to be diving in and doing my special review on. An American Werewolf in London, and this is a John Landis film, and this came out in the 80s. This is the brand new 4K Ultra HD release by Arrow Video, and this is the limited edition set. And as most of you know that have followed this channel for a while, I love diving into these limited edition sets from Arrow Video. I think they do an outstanding job on these. Now I do want to say a huge shout out to Arrow Video for sending this to me 3 weeks early for review. I do really appreciate that they send these to me early for review so I can get into this, dive into this, do my exclusive testing on it. I'm going to do my exclusive 4K versus Blu Ray image comparisons. Then I'm going to go through, show you what comes in the box, do an unboxing, and at the end I always wrap it up with my review score. Now this review is going to be extra special, and here's why. We're going to be comparing this new 4K Ultra HD to the original Arrow Video release that they did of An American Werewolf in London. But I've got a little extra surprise for all of you. We're also going to be comparing it to my 4K Ultra HD release of Germany that's from Turbine Media of An American Werewolf in London on 4K Ultra HD. So it's kind of going to be a three-way comparison talking about the differences between all of them. So this is going to be the most comprehensive review on all the editions of American Werewolf in London. So that way you know which one of these you're going to want to pick up, which one of these is actually the best edition of American Werewolf in London, and dive into and give you an idea of what the differences in image quality is between them and which one actually looks the best. So we've got a lot of exciting stuff to dive into here. Now, we're going to start off with above the original Blu Ray release of American Werewolf in London on the original Arrow release here. This is going to be the screenshot you see above of that. Now, we're going to be comparing that to the 4K Ultra HD release that Arrow has coming out on the 15th of March on 4K Ultra HD. Now, keep in mind, this review is roughly about 3 weeks early. So this will give you plenty of time to watch this review and then decide which of these you're going to want to pick up. But as you can see up above there, with the new 4K Ultra HD release, there is some big changes between even the previous Blu-ray release. Now I will touch on this here for a minute here because a lot of people misunderstood this before. Sometimes when a lot of the times they bring in the original cinematographer or the original director and they do a new color grading for these 4Ks and they do them in either HDR or Dolby Vision, so on and so forth. It does change the overall look of the film to be more representative of what was originally in theaters. Some people misunderstand and say, well, hey, the original Blu-ray was lighter and maybe some of the darker scenes were easier to see some of that. But what that did is that took away from the natural presentation of what the original director and cinematographer had intended for the film to look like when it originally aired in theaters. So a lot of the times when they do a lot of these 4K scans and restorations, and according to Arrow Video, this is a brand new 4K scan and restoration. Supposedly, according to their press release, they went back and did a brand new scan and restoration for this new 4K, which is different than the Blu-ray release that they did before. When they did this, it did darken some areas of the film. Now I'm going to show you a screenshot above of the werewolf at night. Now what you'll notice right off is the werewolf at night on the 4K looks much more deep and inky black. Now, you also might say you can't see as much of maybe the back part of his fur as you could in the Blu-ray release. That's intentional. They said that it actually got lightened a little bit too much in some of the original Blu-ray releases. So when they did the new 4K scan, which the HDR grading, which just to let you know, happy to announce this does have Dolby Vision and HDR10 on it. So the HDR10 grading and the Dolby Vision, which the Dolby Vision looks very good on it, does darken some areas while adding in a better color tone and shades throughout it than even what the Blu-ray had before. But when you're seeing that werewolf dark picture up there, I wanted to show you a really dark picture so you kind of understood. It got over-lightened a little bit on the Blu-rays, not drastically, but a little bit lighter. So in this, it actually got darkened to the original way it was supposed to be when it was released in theaters, to give that eerie effect. Now, I've talked about this a lot on some previous reviews, like Donnie Darko on 4K Ultra HD, and then also the Flight of the Navigator one that Second Sight did, their new 4K restoration. I did that review a couple of years back. And a lot of people misunderstood why some of those scenes in Flight of the Navigator were actually darker than on the original like VHS or DVD releases. That was intentional. The original cinematographer and filmmaker went back to do it correctly, because on the VHS and DVD releases, it got really brightened and lightened, and that wasn't the way it should have looked. Those scenes when he was wandering in the woods that I talk about in that review had gotten to the point where they were so light, it lost that eerie effect, and it was supposed to give you an eerie effect, kind of a little bit of uneasiness, and that's why the film was darkened in those areas. Well, this is a similar thing, that in American Werewolf in London, it had gotten kind of a little bit lighter on the Blu-rays than what they had intended, so therefore it got corrected to the correct way it was supposed to look in some of those really dark and inky scenes to give you almost a creepy, horror, scary effect. And that's why in some of those scenes you will notice it does seem darker. That is on purpose. That's not that something's wrong. That's the way it was supposed to look originally, and that's a good thing. We want these films to represent and bring out the best way it was supposed to look intentionally back when it originally aired in theaters. And sometimes when multiple formats have come out of different releases, it's kind of changed them in ways that maybe they didn't intend it. And that's the nice thing about a lot of these 4Ks with the new gradings, the new color tones, the new ways they go back and do the new scans. They can intentionally get the directors or cinematographers involved to get this back to the original way it was intended to look. So this does look a lot better than the Blu-ray release in those aspects, just giving back that original creepy feel it was supposed to have in some of those darker scenes. So because of how exclusive the work is here that I do on my YouTube channel, make sure to go down below and give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. That way you never miss out on any of this exclusive content or any of this hard work that I provide here on my YouTube channel. And if you want some extra hidden content about the reviews I'm working on, things I get in, and little special things just kind of about the movie industry, folks I talk about that are working on restorations and things like that, make sure to follow me on my Twitter account. That's 4K Blu-ray Reviews. And I always post my Twitter account at the beginning of every review. So make sure to follow me on Twitter if you want some extra hidden things, kind of behind the scenes information. There's always some good little things that I give tidbits about every single week on there. Now, while we're talking about the 4K representation on the new Arrow Video 4K Ultra HD, we're also going to talk about the 4K representation on the Turbine German release on 4K Ultra HD. Now this one came out about a year and a couple of months ago, and this one was released by Turbine in Germany. Now I've had this one for a little while here. I actually bought it here about a year ago, and I was intending on doing a review on it until Arrow Video contacted me and let me know they were doing this one. Then I thought it'd be a good thing to kind of give a comparison, so that way you had a comprehensive review of all the different editions and what the differences are between them. Now I'm going to keep the screenshots going above of the difference between this one and the Arrow Video Blu-ray, because that's going to be the most common one around the world that most people have bought or have seen, is that Arrow Video Blu-ray. This one, just to tell you what I saw when I went through and watched both of them side by side, going between the differences of them and going through what the actual differences in image quality is. On this Turbine 4K Ultra HD, what you'll notice versus the Arrow Video one that you're seeing above, this one did not have nearly as good a color grading. So as you probably noticed in that actual release from Arrow Video, the colors are way more vibrant, natural color tones. They have more vibrancy, like in his red jacket. You're gonna see a screenshot up above of him in his red jacket. And at the beginning of the film, you'll kind of notice in this one, if you were to have both copies, his red jacket looked good, but because it only has HDR10 in it, the color grading that they did overall on this kind of made his red jacket more or less kind of like a little faded out of red. It didn't look kind of cherry red like it does on the 4K Ultra HD from Arrow Video. And the 4K Ultra HD from Arrow Video has the color grading correctly done in Dolby Vision and HDR10 to show more natural skin tones than what this did. So the big changes between the two of these is that the Turbine Media one had a lot of duller colors in it overall. A lot of them were very kind of almost desaturated, and I thought it looked decent originally, but when I compared them side by side, it didn't like boost the colors so much in the Arrow Video that it looked oversaturated. They just look more natural even in their skin tones versus the Turbine Media one. Now, to give you our percentage of difference between them, you're looking at roughly a 20% upgrade in basically overall visual, color grading, colors, HDR. Now this one does have HDR10 and Dolby Vision, whereas this one from Turbine Media only had HDR10. There was no Dolby Vision option on it. So another big upgrade that Arrow Video gave to all of us was a Dolby Vision grading on this and Dolby Vision option, which looks outstanding on this versus the HDR10 that was on this. So that was a big upgrade as well. On the German 4K Ultra HD release, it was on a BD66. On Arrow Video's 4K Ultra HD, we get a full BD100. I love BD100s, so it's very nice that we got a BD100 on this. Now, another thing that was drastically different. On this one, it had very stable film grain, though I will touch on An American Werewolf in London was never an absolutely gorgeous film. When we get to the end and I sum it up with my review score, you'll kind of understand what I explained about that a little bit more as well. But An American Werewolf in London, John Landis filmed it very dark in a lot of scenes. He used a lot of filters that added a very soft element to it overall. He had a lot of fuzzy filters and things he was trying to work with to add little elements, kind of dream sequences, things like that. So An American Werewolf in London was never downright gorgeous. It's not going to be like something like the original Ghostbusters from the 80s, where they were very bright and vibrant throughout the whole film, and the way they filmed those was very clear, and the film grain, things like that. This does have a lot more heavy of a film grain in it. Now, on the Arrow Video release, it is a very stable film grain. So throughout it, I didn't notice any major fluctuations at all. There wasn't any points where I noticed it had real jitter or any blocking on it. It was a very stable presentation overall, but it is a very heavier film grain presentation because of how John Landis filmed on the original film stock, and using a lot of those filters he did enhanced that film grain even more, especially a lot of those dream sequences or in the woods a lot of the times at night. It just never was downright gorgeous. Well, on the Turbine Media release, there was a few instances throughout. They're very brief and very short, where you'll have some sharp grain fluctuations throughout the film that are not present on the Arrow Video release. So again, some differences between them. It seems like there was a lot better quality control and a lot more work put into the Arrow Video 4K Ultra HD release than what Turbine Media did on their scan and restoration. So I am happy to announce that the Arrow Video does look quite a bit better than the Turbine release, especially that Dolby Vision. On this Arrow Video, the Dolby Vision really does shine through, especially like even in the opening sequence where the hills and everything appear on this. Greenish tone for the grass because it's a rainy season and it actually looks green. Whereas when you watch the Turbine, the actual hills looked more or less brown. They didn't really have much green in the colors at all. And that's where you notice a real big difference between the actual basically color gradings that were done on them to present the actual image to you. So overall, this has a much better presentation overall, especially without any of the grain fluctuations, even though they were intermittent and few on the Turbine. This one doesn't have them at all, and the presentation is much more pleasing throughout it. Now, as always, I will have the links for everything that I'm reviewing and talking about in the description section right below this video. I always put everything linked down in the description section below. So if you decide you're going to pick this up or add this to your collection, make sure to go down to one of those links in the description section below or as a pinned comment in the comment section below. Click through those, it takes you straight out to Amazon. I've made it nice and easy for all of you. That does help support this channel just a tiny bit. So make sure if you're going to pick this up, it's at no extra cost to you to click through those links. But it does help support this YouTube channel just a tiny bit, though make sure you wait till the end of this review so you get my total sum up to determine what you're actually going to want to pick up. Now on American Werewolf in London from Arrow Video, we do get in the original aspect ratio of 1.85 to 1. They didn't cut it down, trim anything out. Arrow Video is really good with keeping things the original way they were intended to be. On this, it is a native 4K 2160p, and as I said, it does have Dolby Vision and HDR10 on this. Audio options on this, we do get English DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. Then we also get the original English uncompressed 1.0 mono, which is kind of nice that they included the original uncompressed 1.0 mono just so that way we can experience it the original way it was intended to be. Even though I do like the new audio mix better, it's just kind of cool as a cinephile to have those options available to us. As far as the film's rating goes, it is rated R, and I will touch on that here for a second. As all of you know that have watched my channel for a long time, I'll always share with you what's in each film. This was rated R for strong violence, strong sexual content, and language. And so it's up to each one of you what you think is okay or not okay. The runtime is 97 minutes long. They didn't cut that down at all either. It's the original runtime all included on this. It does include English subtitles on this as well. On the 4K disc, that's a BD100 as well, this is region free. So no matter where you live worldwide, you can always import it through that link I've put in the description section below or as a pinned comment. That ships worldwide, so no matter where you live, US, UK, doesn't matter. The disc in this is completely region free. Now going back and touching on what you're seeing above on the original Arrow Video Blu-ray release here, I know we talked about the Turbine here a little bit, but I do want to touch on that Arrow Video Blu-ray for a minute. That supposedly had a different scan and restoration than what they did on this new 4K Ultra HD. Now I don't know if they went back and used some of what they scanned before and then basically went back and retouched over this, but overall this does look different as you've seen above than that Blu-ray release. It does look really good in this 4K Ultra HD representation, and I did feel like overall, even having the previous Blu-ray release, that it did add a value in getting the 4K Ultra HD for image quality wise, because it does add so much more to the film. Even with the film grain, you can see so much more details as I talk about in like their faces, skin tones, hair, the costume effects. And I'll show you a screenshot above as he's transforming into the werewolf, a close-up of his face here. And you'll see the difference on the makeup effects between the two of them. And on this, the color grading and things like that just looks so much more intense and just adds so much more to the film over even what the Blu-ray had. So that's where I felt like this did add that element to it that made this such a more worthy upgrade as well. When you watch all this content that I work hard to create here on my YouTube channel, the only way I can continue to create and provide all this content for all of you to watch and enjoy is through the support of all of you, my viewers and subscribers. Down below there's a button called a Super Thanks. I don't have Patreon, so the way that you can help to support this YouTube channel so I can keep providing all this content, scanning all the discs, spending all the time testing all of these and going through all of this to provide you all this exclusive and unique content, is down there through that Super Thanks button. It allows you to give a tip through that Super Thanks. You can give $1 all the way up to any amount you want on each of these videos that I create here on my YouTube channel. That goes right back into this channel and helps me to pay for all the software that I have to pay for monthly, all of the equipment that I have to constantly get to provide and scan all of the data off of all these discs to provide all of these image comparisons for all of you to watch and enjoy here on my YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and a like. Don't forget to go down there and hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. And if you're going to pick up any of these that I'm reviewing, make sure to go down to one of the links in either the description section below or as a pinned comment in the comment section. Click through that, it takes you straight out to Amazon. I've made it nice and easy for all of you. And I appreciate all the love and support that all of you have given me over the years. Now showing you what you get in this, it does have the same cover art that was basically on the original Blu-ray release from Arrow Video that you've seen above. It does have the nice 4K HDR sticker on it. Side, it does say an American Werewolf in London. I absolutely love, as most of you know, these limited edition sets from Arrow Video. I've done dozens of these reviews over the years. It does have their big J card on it that talks about all the things that are on it. I'll touch on the special features here just for a minute in comparison to that Turbine release before. When I sat down going through the difference between special features on both of them, it does look like this has most of them that are included on the German release. But this does look like it has a couple of new things like an audio commentary, and then obviously the books and some of the essays and image galleries that are included on this that weren't included on the German release. But there was one that looked like it was included on the German release, but it's a German-only language audio that was on the German release. So overall, this one in English, because it all is in English, is my preference because this does have more options and more things included in it. And overall, Arrow Video's presentation is nicer than the Turbine release was before. Now getting inside here, you do have the different cover art. This is reversible, you can switch it around. On the other side of this, it has this cover art. So to show you the difference between the two, you can choose which one you want on your disc case. I always switch it around to be the opposite one of this one. That way I get both options on both covers. On the side here, it does have slightly different side spine art. And then on the back, it has the same thing printed that's on the outside of the J card. Getting inside here, you do have your 4K Ultra HD disc, and then you obviously have your postcards here. And I always love these from Arrow Video. They do a really nice job with this. It talks about the film a little bit from the director of Animal House, a different kind of animal. And each one of these has different pictures on it, and I'll show you what they look like above in a photo because I know they're hard to see on here because they are smaller. But you get a bunch of different other postcards on here which were really nice. Next up, we've got the booklet. It's an American Werewolf in London. It actually is a pretty nice size one from Arrow Video, and I like that. Get inside here, it has a bunch of artwork. I'm not going to show you every page, but it does have tons of artwork. Talks about the making of the film, behind the scenes, things they ran into when they were filming it, the creature effects. Really, really nicely done. It's one of those really great Arrow Video booklets that it's a great read, and I highly recommend these. I personally think anybody that waits for the standard edition of Arrow Video's releases is really missing out on one of the greatest things about these Arrow limited edition sets, and that's these booklets. These are absolutely outstanding. Coffee table booklets, something that every single one of them I read through, I look through the pictures and I enjoy them. And that's where I really feel like these Arrow Video limited edition sets, because of these books and all the extra content that you get in them, are the best limited edition collectible sets out there for fans of movies, cineholics, fans of films. These really do add to the collectible factor, and that is why every single limited edition Arrow Video set I can get my hands on, I always get, and make them really worth the money you put in to get these sets. And then you do get the poster here. And this is the new commissioned artwork that's on the Blu Ray and the 4K release. I do like that. And then on the other side, you get the original poster artwork. So their posters are really cool to add to your collection as well. I don't know if a lot of you put them up on your walls. Let me know in the comment section below if you collect a lot of these limited edition sets from Arrow Video, and if you take your posters out and put them in frames and put them up on your walls or not. I keep them in the box sets because I like having everything all together, and I take these out to look at them. But let me know if you take the time to put them up on your walls. Now overall, I really do think these limited editions, and especially this one by Arrow Video, are just outstanding collectibles. And I do like this one. I think they did an outstanding job with the booklet. I really like the essays in it and what they talked about in it. Really adds another element to the film and adds things that basically you didn't know, that then now when you watch it, you realize all the struggles and hard work they put behind this film. Now, in comparison to the Turbine release, you don't get a booklet, you don't get a poster, you don't get the big case or the artwork. You literally get the discs with the special features, some of it being in German, but overall it's a German release. And because it didn't look as good, I definitely recommend the Arrow Video release over. And overall visual quality wise, this is the best edition to get. Now, my review score for this release, because it didn't have the grain fluctuations at all, even though they were brief in the Turbine one, I look at the differences between them as this is the ultimate way to own an American Werewolf in London. So if you're a fan of the film, I had no audio lag issues, I had no audio issues whatsoever. In both audio mixes, they sounded good. I like that they included the original uncompressed audio, and I absolutely love the book and everything they give us in this set. My review score for this is a 9.0. Now keep in mind when you watch this, if this is your first time ever seeing an American Werewolf in London, remember, this is not going to be a 9.5 or a 9.8. That's why I got a 9.0. Because the film was never an absolutely gorgeous film to begin with, there are limitations to how much they can do with a scan and restoration without adding DNR and taking away the natural film grain and making it look waxy, which then loses natural details in the film. They did leave the natural grain and film grain in it. They did not DNR or neat it out. And neat, I've talked about in several previous reviews. That's actually a software they use to handle the grain and to remove it from the film, which then loses a lot of detail. So they didn't use that on it. Arrow Video did another outstanding job with this release. And that's where I said it does get a 9.0. And no, it's not going to be as gorgeous as David Lynch's Dune on 4K Ultra HD, which was filmed differently and didn't have as many heavily dark scenes and things like that, and didn't have as many heavy filters that basically were added to specifically make this look softer in certain areas. So those softer scenes are going to exist no matter what, no matter how many times they restore it, unless they digitally transfer and change it to where it's not going to actually look as good, and then it'll just look waxy overall. This is the best way this film has ever looked. This one is the ultimate way to own this, and I recommend if you're a fan of the film and you're wanting to add this to your collection, this is the one that you need to buy. And this is a must buy for those that are fans and want to collect an American Werewolf and have it in a limited edition set. Now, I've talked about this a lot previously before. With these limited edition sets, they do sell out. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time after the release, sometimes it's right after the release. You never know how many of these Arrow Video is actually printed and has available. So if you're thinking about picking this up or buying this, I would suggest, because of it being a limited edition release, I would suggest as soon as possible to go down and click through that link in the description section below, or as a pinned comment, the link through there goes out to Amazon, order your copy so that way you don't miss out on it. The common thing that happens with a lot of these Arrow Video limited edition releases, after they sell out, then it goes to the aftermarket, and that's where people sell these for tons and tons of money, and they mark them up. And I always like all of my viewers and subscribers to be able to get this at the original price that Arrow Video is releasing it at. So I would recommend, if you're going to pick it up or you have any interest in it, do it sooner rather than later so you don't miss out on it. These are great collectibles, and they really do look great on your actual collection. And I put them all together, all my Arrow Video limited editions go all together, and they look outstanding on my bookcase. And they are something that are just fun to collect. Arrow Video doing another outstanding limited edition release with this set, 9.0. Let me know in the comment section below if you're going to pick this up, if you've seen this film, if you're excited about it. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. I always always love to hear from all of you, so make sure to start that conversation in the comment section below. And as always, just because this was sent to me from Arrow Video, I always touch on this. It never affects my review score. I do always appreciate that Arrow Video sends these to me for review early, and I've always appreciated that they work with me on that, but that never affects my review score. And as you'll know if you've watched a lot of my Arrow Video reviews over the years, some of them haven't been as amazing releases, and that's been reflected in the review scores as well. So that's why I always touch on that, because sometimes I get comments on that. It never affects, no matter what company sends me anything for a review, it never affects my review score. I always am upfront and honest with all of you, as all of you have known from my hundreds of reviews I've done over the years. Now, if you've enjoyed this and all the hard work that went behind this review, make sure to go down and give a super thanks down below. That way I can continue to keep providing you with all the support of all of you, my viewers and subscribers, all of this unique, special, and exclusive content. Also, if you're going to pick up any of these, and especially this new limited edition Arrow Video release, make sure to go down to the link I've posted in the description section below or as a pinned comment. Don't forget, go down and give this video a like for me. Don't forget to give a like. Click that subscribe button and the bell notification. I had fun today, and as always, I hope all of you have a blessed day. I've always got something new, exciting, or early coming out very soon.